I knew Jacob when he first started here. He actually was stuck in the range with me behind the counter. I remember him being pretty imposing young man, big man. I didn't know him before. I do remember when he came in for his interview prior to him getting hired on, and he was he stopped by and was just kind of talking just for a few minutes. And then when we found out he was actually getting hired, it was actually nice because I was actually looking forward to working with him.
I met Jacob close to a year ago now-ish, maybe a couple months from today, when he started working at the range after he left, I believe, Cabela's. And immediately, this guy was just so much fun to be around. He was very bubbly and happy and just super excited to learn more and be able to play with all the guns we had.
First time I met him would be during our interview for his employment here. He wanted the job. I say, and it just it seemed right for him, a nice fit for him.
Me and John interviewed him, and we was both really impressed with his outgoing demeanor, very friendly, very easy to meet. Felt like you knew him from a long time.
But he came in his first day of work, and I talked to him for a little bit, and I said, well, questions he asked, he was immediately engaged and involved.
He seemed to be a funny guy. He liked to have fun. He liked to joke around. He never stayed mad at anything. That was one thing that stuck out with me. He didn't like to stay mad at about an incident or somebody or something. He was very quick to find humor, to try to kind of laugh it off.
Jacob was always laughing, usually making a joke out of pretty much any situation. Didn't really take things too seriously.
He was always very upbeat and always had a smile on his face. I know when he was being sent through Obet's here at the store, they put him through the NRA civilian course, instructor course. He was very motivated that he wanted to become an instructor. And he was very anxious. He wanted to shoot 100%. So even though he was very anxious about it, he was still very upbeat, always had a smile on his face.
That man could outshoot me every single day. And of course, whenever it came to like picking who would do brass or whatever other chores we had at the range, he would always be like, shooting competition? And we fell for it the first couple times. But after like 2 or 3 times, we're like, no, Jacob's gonna win. No, we're gonna play rock, paper, scissors, where we all get the chance to win.
Well, my favorite memory was when Jacob went to the NRA instructor's course. Jacob was a standout in the class. Every time I got to pop in, I would see that he would catch that I was in the room. He would pause for just a second because, when your boss is in the room, there's always a little bit of a pause there, especially in training, you're trying to do your best. But he would continue to flow. He didn't let it bother him, and he was just engaging the way he interacted with the students of the class, the way he interacted as an instructor with the scenarios that were set up. It was just a pleasure, and I said, we did the right thing with this one. We're gonna have a good one here.
He had just given a private instruction, and he said, I don't know if I did it completely right or not. And I said, well, you got to look at the positive. I said, they came out with a smile on their face. I said, you did the best you could under the circumstances. He said, I guess if they came out of if we all came out with the same amount of holes in our body as we went in with, he said, I guess I did okay then, right? I said, if for an analogy, that's probably going to be one of the better ones I've ever heard, Jacob.
Wherever I couldn't find the word to say to fill what I was trying to get across, he had it. And it honestly felt, this is gonna sound weird, it felt like a yin and yang working with him. Because I'm right-handed, and I think I'm a fairly good right-handed instructor. He's left-handed, he's an incredible left-handed instructor. So whenever we would have left-handed students or left-handed customers come up, he would take them and make them more proficient than my students. And it was so awesome just bouncing things off of him and, having that bridge between my knowledge and his. It was great. I loved it. I really did.
He was one of those guys that if you were around, you left feeling better about yourself and better about things. He always had a positive impact, always had a smile on his face. He was kind, he was engaging. His charismatic skills or personality, however you want to describe it, just drew people towards him.
At work, he was always willing to do anything that you asked him to do. As soon as you asked him to do it, he would do it to the best of his ability. He did have some limitations, but he was never the type to not try to do even with his limitations.
My other favorite memory of him is just him being Jacob. He was always there if you needed help with something. He was always quick to assist you and help process a customer or get a gun out of the case to show a customer on your behalf. Just the fact that he was here. You could depend on him. It's probably one of my better memories.
We were both super nerds. He was more of a Magic the Gathering guy. I like D&D a lot more. He had just recently gotten into Helldivers, which currently is one of my favorite games. We didn't actually get to play it together. I saw him online on Helldivers, and I invited him to my party, and we talked for a little bit. I was like, hey man, you want to play? I got room for one more. And we were just talking. I asked him how he was doing. And I told him all the guys at the range were asking about him. And I asked him how he's been. And he said, honestly, it's probably best you didn't know. I said, what's that mean? And he told me that he had left the steelworker's job for understandable reasons, and that he was having trouble finding another job. And I asked him if he wanted to come back to Vance's. I find Vance's honestly as a comfort blanket. And he said he might. And there was something a little off in his voice, but his tone, he was still that happy-go-lucky, bubbly guy. And, we eventually started to get off so that he could go play with his group, I could play with my group. And we said that we'd have to play again together. I never got the chance.
This came as a very much of a surprise, and when that happens, it's kind of natural. What could I have done? Could I have seen this? Did he give some hints of this or something? What could I have done? What should I have noticed or something?
Was there any previous indicators at the time that this would have happened? No. I never would have figured this was going to happen. He never gave any indication that he was feeling that way.
But I would say I'd say to him, you got to be dearly missed. And we were all stunned, because if any of us would have got an inkling, we would have moved heaven and earth to at least make contact with him.
I have a trouble displaying my emotions and stuff like that. But I would like to let him know I consider him a friend. I liked him a lot, and I wish I would have been able to help him deal with whatever his pains were.
I wish that he would have known and if he's in a dark place, that there's always somebody there for him. That is never as dark as we think it is, and the bounce back is always a challenge, but always worth the bounce back.
Is there anything that she could say to him today?
I'd love to have you back here working. Yep.
Don't give up the ship. Obviously, it's pretty dark, but there is light. Just ask for help. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. But you're going to be missed. And you're a great young man, and I'm sorry for everything that you went through to lead us to this point.
I'd say I love you, bud. I really do. I say I love you to a lot of people. I really, but I'm a firm believer in saying I love you to your friends. I really am. And I mean it. I would say I love you. I would say thank you for being my friend and making me a better instructor, making me a better person. And teach me how to smile again, because there were some times I was going through some stuff and your goofy ass would always make me smile. I would say thank you.